I'm sitting out in front of AP house to confront him. Today I'm facing my wife's affair partner. 3 months ago, I caught them and questioned her about the affair. She apologized excessively and told me she still wanted to be with me, that she wanted to salvage our marriage, that she wanted to go to therapy and so on. We've gone to couples and individual therapy. She said all the right things outwardly. She loves me and only me. She wants to solve things. She doesn't want a divorce and so on. She granted me access to her phone but warned me not to go through it too closely. She vows on her life that she's on the right track to restoring our damaged trust. But she's still seeing him. I discovered it and kept it to myself. I want to serve her divorce papers tomorrow, but before I'll confront her AP to find out what other falsehoods she's been telling me. I'm sure they chatted on the phone a dozen times since I informed her she had to go no contact. She insists she hasn't spoken to him, but the phone records don't lie. They text almost every day. She's definitely deleting them since I haven't seen them on her phone. But she doesn't realize that deleting them on her phone doesn't mean they're gone from her iPad. So I'm sitting in a vehicle outside his home right now, waiting for him or his wife to depart for work. If he goes, I'm going to follow him to his workplace and confront him there. If she doesn't leave first, I'm going to knock on his door. I'll start with yesterday night's update. I arrived home from work, prepared supper, and sat down to eat. My wife inquired about my day. Uneventful, I reasoned. That was all there was to it. We ate, played with the kids, and put them to bed as if nothing had happened. She sat in our bedroom with me to watch TV and said nothing. For around 2 hours. Finally, after our concerts had concluded, she spoke. I'm going to bed, she says. That was the end of it. There is no conflict. There is no debate. Nothing. She went to bed, and I remained up for a couple of hours playing video games before going to bed myself. I slept like a slug and awoke around 5:00 a.m. I wanted to serve her today since we had a marital therapy session during the lunch hour. I had previously told our therapist what I planned to do, so when we sat down and began the session, I didn't waste any time. I spoke with AP yesterday, I said. Yeah, I spoke to him as well, she says. Yeah, I know, I say. I don't understand it, she says. What makes you think you'd go speak to him? Because I wanted answers to certain questions I had, and you weren't being truthful with me, I said. Oh yeah? She says. So, what did he say to you? Honey, he sold you down the river, I said. What does it mean? She asks. He told me everything about what you've been up to. The skulking around. The clandestine gatherings. Calls from the lovey-dovey kind. Everything. She was taken aback. Did he tell you? Yeah, everything, I said. I then proceeded to enumerate all of the facts I already knew about their messages, calls, meetings, dates, hours, and so on. She began to. It's evident to me that although you've been telling me one thing, your actions tell an entirely different tale. So I'm finished. What do you mean you're done? She asks. I deliver her the divorce papers. I'm looking for a divorce. She peered at the papers as if it were a deadly snake in her hands. She then sought assistance from the therapist. How can I repair this? She asks. I'm not looking for a divorce. I'm looking for you. I want to live our lives. I'd want to remain. Do you see where this is coming from? Says the therapist. When your words and actions present contradictory tales, you always trust your actions. It's not the words. Your actions have told me all I need to know, I say. How can we go from here without arguing, hatred, or dragging our children through the mud? The remainder of the meeting went off without a hitch. On both sides there were many tears. I emphasized how betrayed and outraged I am that she would carry on this affair behind my back, thinking of me as the lovely who would never find out. She sobbed because her whole life, as she knows it, is coming to an end. I informed her that I had shut off her money supply, and that she could hire a divorce counsel with half of what we had. I informed her she couldn't reside in our house any longer. She'll have to stay with relatives or friends. I told her I was done, and that there was no way we could reconcile. She sobbed even more. As we went out of the appointment, she grabbed my hand and made one more desperate attempt to win my forgiveness. I yanked my hand away and informed her flatly that I was done with her and didn't want her in my life anymore. She sobbed as she sank to the ground. I stepped out the door and walked away from her. I contacted AP wife and left a message as I drove away from the therapist's office saying, I really need to talk with you. Please. Call me back as soon as possible. I immediately phoned my attorney and advised her to submit the papers, but to keep the TRO on wait until things became really bad. After I departed, my wife phoned and texted me many times. I let them go to VM without listening to them. As I drove to her parents' home, I felt dead within. My phone rang just as I was about to step in. It was AP wife who returned my call. He'd said nothing to her. I told her I needed to meet with her in person, and could we meet in an hour? We agreed on a location and time after she said yes. I went straight to her parents' place and told them everything. Her mother instantly burst into tears. Her father sat there, expressionless. I told him that I loved her and tried to make it work, but that I couldn't stand by while she cheated on me behind my back. They were so disturbed that it was difficult to judge their emotions. I informed them that I would not disparage her or broadcast the facts about our divorce around our friends and family, but that they needed to know why we were divorcing. I told them that I don't expect them to support me in this, and that I for one want them to support her because she'll need it. This everything comes back to my children. If she can't afford a nice place to live, I don't want my kids to spend their time with her in filth. Her parents can and will financially support her. I told them I love them and will miss our friendship. Before I departed, her father and I exchanged handshakes, and I embraced her mother. Then I drove to the rendezvous point to meet AP wife. I'm now sitting in my vehicle, waiting for her to arrive. I want to inform her, show her the video if necessary, and let her decide how to continue from there. I will be there to provide emotional support if she needs it. Nobody should have to deal with this alone. So that was my day. I still need to meet with AP wife, pick up my kids from school and change my home locks. I had a security system installed at home, so if she decides to steal or destroy anything, it will be captured on film. I'm not too concerned since she is aware of it as well. There will be more. Update 2. AP wife arrived at our meeting location. As soon as I stepped out of the vehicle, I could tell she was suspicious. She attempted to play it off as kindly as she could, but I could see she was worried. I informed her, I have something important to tell you. It won't be pleasant or easy to hear, and I'm sorry that this is happening to you. To us. My wife and your spouse have been cheating on one another. She burst into tears right away. I had to keep going. I learned about it 3 months ago. Her head jerked up, and she was filled with rage. What? 3 months ago? Why are you just now telling me this? So I had to explain how I discovered it, what I did when I faced my SDBXW, and how we were doing marital therapy to preserve our marriage. She nodded and listened until I came to the point when I discovered out they were still seeing one another. Then she burst into tears once again. I'm sorry, I have to come to a halt here for a while. As I type this, I'm sobbing. I feel terrible simply putting this out there in the public, as if I'm spreading someone else's sorrow. She deserved none of this. To be honest, I'm mortified at the prospect of informing her. She was completely unaware. She told me she was curious why I had phoned her, and she assumed it had something to do with her husband. But she had no knowledge about the affair, that it was occurring with my wife, that I had caught them, or that they had maintained the connection after being exposed. Her whole world had been shattered. I then asked if she wanted to see the video. Actually, I have to laugh. She assumed I had a video of the two of them and was first offended that I would offer to show it to her. No, I said I challenged AP about all of this yesterday and he confessed it. I have a recording of our talk. She paused for a bit before saying she wanted to see it. I spent some time yesterday editing the video down since it was about 20 minutes of him hemming and hawing, lying and denying everything. I had compiled a handful of my favorite clips into a 60-second clip, which I played for her. In it, he apologizes to me, admits he messed up, and offers some additional information about their continued connection. She began weeping again as soon as I pressed the play button and saw his face, so I paused and asked if she was sure. She was, and I sat back and watched the footage. There wasn't much more to say at this time. I apologized for being the one who had to inform her. She thanked me for waking her up. I told her I understood exactly how she felt, since I was feeling the same way when I found out 3 months ago. I assured her that if she needed to chat, vent, or shout obscenities, she could contact me and I would be there for her. She thanked me, we embraced, and that was the end of it. I honestly don't know what she'll do next, but I'm sure it won't be good for AP. I honestly feel terrible for her and her children. I got in my vehicle and drove home. My phone had been ringing off throughout our talk, and my SDBXW had been attempting to call me since I had left her earlier today. I checked the surveillance cameras at home, and she hadn't returned, so I went there. She was smoking in the driveway when I arrived. She began screaming as soon as she noticed my automobile. Did you tell my parents? Piece of, you low-life piece of. I pressed the record button on my phone and placed it in the front pocket of my shirt to capture everything on camera. I got out of my vehicle in the driveway. She was blocking the garage and said I did indeed. They have a right to know why we are divorcing. I didn't make anything up or lie. I told them the truth and informed them that they should love and support you at this difficult time. It took the wind out of her sails. She went from wrath to weeping. Mess in a matter of seconds. She continued apologizing, asking what she could do to help, assuring me she didn't want any of this and so on. I listened, and when she ran out of things to say, I said, I told you all I needed to say today in the therapist's office. I don't have anything further to say about it. I'll pick up the kids from school and prepare supper for them. You're welcome to come collect some stuff, but you won't be able to remain here overnight. I recommend that you remain with your parents. She became enraged as a result of this. You can't take me away from my kids. No, I said. I have no intention of keeping you away from our children. But given your current situation, I don't believe it's a good idea for them to see you like that. I'll tell them you went to stay with Graham and Gramps for a few days because Gramps is unwell and Graham needs some housekeeping assistance. They will understand and will not question it. But we need to figure out how and when we're going to inform them, and we need to do it before the end of this week. She burst into tears once again. In that moment, my heart bled for her. I saw the woman I loved, the woman I married, the woman I vowed to spend the rest of my life with, raw, emotional, lost, and hopeless. I embraced her and told her that I was sorry this was happening, but that it was the outcome of her actions, and that I would no longer be married to a woman who treated me this way. We stood there in the driveway for a long time, her bawling into my shoulder. Finally, she drew back and attempted to kiss me. That's not going to happen, I muttered as I stepped back. I turned and went inside the house as she sobbed again. I went into the kitchen and made a really strong drink for myself. I heard her enter the home after around 20 minutes. I could hear her packing a suitcase as she silently entered our bedroom. I remained in the kitchen, where she discovered me with her luggage packed. I hope you're content, she said. I'm not happy at all, I said. This was not anything I want. I desired you. I desired us. I want a woman who would adore me and treat me with respect. Instead, I received this. So, yeah, I'm not pleased. She yelled at me. Why are you doing this then? Why are you throwing everything we have away? No, I'm not, I said. When you returned to AP, you tossed everything away. Now, I'm simply putting the parts back together. She yelled a couple more choice insults at me, but I refused to rise to her bait. She fled after realizing I wasn't going to interact with her, slamming the door so forcefully it knocked a picture frame off the wall in the rear hallway. She fled when I heard her roar out of the driveway. I drank my drink and watched the video of her yelling and swearing at me again. If things go wrong, I'll have enough video footage to keep myself legally protected. I came home with the kids after picking them up from school. I informed her that she would be staying with G&G for a few days. The youngsters were depressed, but they didn't ask any questions. We had fun, ate supper, and now they're getting ready for bed. In many hours, I haven't heard from STBXW, app, or AP wife. The home will be extremely quiet after the kids have gone to bed, and to be honest, I may just sit here with my bottle and pour myself a few more drinks before night. Update 3. I previously reported that I spoke with AP wife on Friday. She said that she is not ready to dissolve their marriage, and that they would continue to attempt to make things work. They are in therapy. They had children, and I don't blame her for wanting to salvage her marriage. When I was in her shoes, I did the same thing. Their children are unaware. I wish them all the best and hope they are able to resolve their differences. She begged me not to contact her while they work things out, and I completely plan to honor her request. I'm hoping they can save things. On Friday, my wife and I had another therapy session where we only discussed how to inform the kids. She told me she did not want to divorce. She begged me not to go along with it over and over again. I informed her that when she went back to AP after I ordered her not to, she made the choice for me. She said they hadn't slept together since I found out a lie, and that she didn't share the specifics of what she and I were going through lie. When I confronted her with what I knew again, she sobbed and said she knew what she was doing was bad, but she didn't consider the ramifications, just that she needed someone to confide in, said she couldn't speak to anybody else about it. Like me, her hubby, who she was meant to be attempting to resolve matters with. Even when I ponder forgiving her and trying again, I keep returning to the lies and dishonesty. She simply continues digging her hole deeper and deeper. She lied to me about sleeping with AP again, and she lied to me about what she told him. It comes so effortlessly to her that I'm afraid I'll never be able to trust her again. The falsehoods effortlessly flow off her tongue as if she thinks them to be true, and if I wasn't so well-versed, I'd believe her. But I'm not so sure. So, even when I want to hug her, kiss her, and tell her everything is okay, I recall her falsehoods and stay focused on going on apart. Stay tuned for the next part.